Hello and welcome to Elvington Chapel. This is the message after the message Mark 2. The message that I had given on the 7th of January. I had to do two videos because I couldn't get everything I wanted to in the first video because I seemed to go off, which sometimes happens, on a little bit of a tangent. Which is where I spoke about being a person who wants a blessing. The idea of you've got the two, you've got Esau, you've got Jacob. The difference was Esau had that spirit of entitlementship, whereas Jacob had, although given the name trickster, supplanter, had that spirit where he wanted that blessing. He wanted that birthright. So Esau had everything. Jacob was the second son, but he wanted it. And he got renamed Israel, meaning one who wrestles with God, one who overcame the wrestling with God and got the name Israel. But I want to just take you forward a little bit to the other part of the message. And it's bizarre when you start doing these things, how it kind of goes off on a tangent. But you know, I wanted to take you to the house of Jesse. Now, the house of Jesse, as you know, from the house of Jesse came David. David was the chosen king of Israel. So the people wanted a king, and in their own strength, they chose Saul. But God had made a decision that he wanted a king, and he was going to call his name David. But you see, it's an interesting thing, as I said in the last video, when you gave someone a name in Old Testament terms, it had to mean something. So you gave your child a name of expectation. So Jesse, meaning God's existence, or proof of existence of God, had 8 sons. The interesting thing with that number 8, that means rebirth. And if you kind of turn it to the side, it means infinity. But you know, Samuel was going to try and find a new king. And he had been sent by God to the house of Jesse, existence of God. So when you have your children, you would give your children a name that you would have an expectation about. You would have an expectation about what that child was going to do. So Jesse had 8 children. The 8th was called David. But you see, and this is so much of the worldview, and this is why the worldview is so different to God's view. Samuel went in there, and he went up to the first son after meeting his greetings with Jesse, and saw the first son, whose name was Eliab, and went, yeah, oh wow, God, amazing, absolutely amazing. This is phenomenal. Wow, what a son. It's got to be. And you know what? Jesse had the expectation as well, because that name means God is my father. Amazing. And God says no. So he says, well, then it's got to be Abinadab, father of willingness, which is what the name means. No. Surely it's got to be Shechem. God is here. God says no. So he goes through all. Surely it's got to be Ozem. I shall hasten thee. No. So he goes for all 7 sons. And he turns around Jesse and he says, Jesse, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says, Jesse, have you got any other children? And Jesse says, well, yeah, I have, but he's out there with the sheep. Oh, well, look, bring him in. So here's David. David being the 8th son. David being the insignificant. Being born the 8th son. So we're going to give him a name. What should we call him? We'll call him Beloved. Me old beloved. He's always going to be with me. Yeah? That's kind of the anticipation that Jesse had. But the anticipation that God had was completely different. So they call him in. And of course, as the story goes, God says, this is the one. So what had David been doing? What were David's qualifications to be anointed to be the new king of Israel? His qualifications had been, he'd been out there with sheep, cold, wet, hungry, protecting his flock from the bear, from the lion, and being victorious. So he sees his beloved, and he says, yeah, this is the one. This is the one that I choose. Because God does not see the outward appearance as man sees. Because if he had, he would have chosen Eliab. And he would have said, God is my father, this is the one. But God sees something different. He sees the heart. He sees the heart beating. And you know, as the story goes, David went on to amazing exploits, brought all the kingdom, all the families of Israel together, and ruled as king. And from that line of Judah, would come Jesus, the Saviour. But you see, where it's interesting is this is how cool, and I've got to be quick here, this is how cool God is. So God, in 1 Chronicles 2, 13 to 15, names that Jesse only has 7 sons. So most people say, contradictory. No. You see, the difference was, and God works through numbers, as well as there's so many different levels and mysteries to God, but God works through numbers. You see, the number 8 signifies rebirth. The number 7 signifies completion. So, it's numbered in 1 Chronicles 2 to 13 that Jesse only had 7 sons, or only 7 sons are named. So you see, what happened, this is what God does. What happens is that you might have been born a particular way. You might have been born in insignificance. You might have been born where no one wanted to give you another chance, or no one wanted to give you a chance in the first place. But God doesn't see the outside, he sees the inside. And he says, this is the one. This is the one. This year is 2018, and we are in expectation of revival. And I just believe that we are going to see it. Do you know, this year, a year without God is where you are at this point in time. Imagine what your year could be with God. This is Elvington Chapel. Hope you're blessed. When Jesus died on the cross, he said, all that come, all that believe on me, all that believe on me. That's you as an individual. Give your heart to him today. God bless you.